Hi everyone, it's Don Giannetti from lighting-essentials.com and project52prosystem.com. I'm going to run you through what I call a classic side light portrait lighting setup. And once again, this is for you to discover. I don't want to put a bunch of photographs up here and say, well, this is what it should look like, this is what it should look like. Because I think what people do is they skip the exercise. So what I want you to do is I want you to do this exercise. It's very important that you learn to control your light. What you're going to need for this is a medium gray background, 2 large white fill cards, 2 medium-sized white fill cards, and 1 large black flag card. All right, you're obviously going to need a camera and a subject, somebody to make a photograph of. For this particular exercise, we're using a large softbox. So hopefully you have a 2x3 or a 4x6 or something large. If not, a scrim will work just fine. You can certainly use a scrim, and I love scrim lighting, so make yourself a 4x6 scrim, stick the light behind it. If you want to go back to the video I did about shooting bottles, it'll show you how to make a scrim, and there's a video there using a scrim as well. So whether scrim or softbox, we're starting with 1. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to take your softbox and I want you to move it forward and backwards of camera. So I want you to move it all the way back here so that your subject is at the front part of the softbox. Make your exposure. Move it to where your subject is centered. Make the exposure. Then move the softbox up to where the edge of the softbox is even with the shoulders and make an exposure. What I do is I shoot with my softbox here. What I see a lot of photographers do when they're first starting out is they shoot with it here. And if you're shooting with it here, this much of the softbox is lighting up this air behind your subject, and I'm not really sure that's a good idea. I think it's a waste of light. So if we move it forward, all of the softbox lighting falls on your subject. You're also going to notice something else. When we take our softbox all the way to the back, and by the way, these other positions can work for you if they work for the portrait, period. If it works to have your subject in the middle for the subject's face, maybe the wardrobe they're wearing, then by all means do that. Seriously. And if you want to try some kind of special kind of lighting, bringing your subject right up to the edge of the softbox here is going to put the bulk of the lighting behind them, which could also be a neat effect. So please don't say that I'm saying there's only one place to put it. It's a lot of places to put it. I usually put it up front. Let me go back here. This softbox is never going to light the side of this face. Do you see that? It simply can't. Angle of incidence, angle of reflection, it's not going to do it. We bring the softbox all the way to the front of the person, and then this light can easily start to wrap around the subject. We call that wrap. The light wraps around. Do you see how far forward this softbox is? It's going to present light wrapping around the front of the face. So how do you control how much side light you want? Well, you move the softbox back until the light stops wrapping, right about the middle part. It's just not going to get around that face. For beauty lighting, which is what I prefer, I go with it up here. So that's our first exercise. Take your softbox and go back to front. Maybe do 3, 4, 5 different positions. Note them and then look at your image to see what that light in that position did for you. Okay? So that's number 1. Number 2, we're going to add a fill card. A big old fill card right over here. And this fill card is going to follow our softbox for the next couple of exercises. So we're going to go, we're going to take the softbox and the fill card, and we're going to move them back as well. Okay? 3-4 shots. You know, one up here, one maybe here, one maybe there, one maybe there. So you can see the difference on your subject. And by the way, I have the subject facing forward here. That's fine. You can turn your subject a little bit to the side, whatever you want to do. You can turn them into the light. Do not turn them away from the light. That's another exercise coming down the road. We're working to the light. So if you want to turn your subject to the light a little bit, fine. Okay? But this is where I end up shooting most of my portraits. Everything to the front. I don't necessarily need to light up the space between the subject and the background. You'll also notice that our light is so far from the background, here where the background goes up, that it may not be casting any light on the background. And the softbox is going to spray light out about there and there, and it's just probably not going to put any there. We can put a flag there to block it off, and I'll show you that in just a second. So we've got our single fill card. Well, first of all, let's put our stuff on here. Let's add a kicker to camera right. Okay? A kicker to camera right is going to be, let's see where we got that, the kicker. Right there. We're going to take that kicker right here and we're going to bring it right in behind this fill card. Still don't want to see it in the picture, but we're going to angle it. Do you see how we're angling it towards the subject? And the idea is that we're going to get light from the softbox, lighting this card up, and then the edge, the rim of this subject, angle of incidence, angle of reflection. You'll get a very subtle, soft, very soft light on this side. Hair will pick it up for sure. Jackets would depend on the weave, I'm sure. If it's a black, very loose cotton blouse or shirt, probably not going to pick up much, but the face will get some and the hair will get some. And again, still with only one light. So this little kicker back here can really do the job. You can move it up if you want, a little higher on the subject, or just keep it right, dead center. The light from the softbox will light up the card, and the angle of incidence to the camera will take the hair, the face, the ear, lobe, all of that, and catch a nice little soft light on it. Pretty cool. We're going to add a fill to camera right. Says camera left in front, camera left in front. This is camera right in front. I'm so sorry. I will fix that. And that is this one right here. I'm using a large one here, but I'm going to take that fill card and I'm going to move it. I'm going to move it, not that one, this one. I'm going to move it right into camera if I can. Okay? That's probably more what it's going to look like right there. And again, this is going to light this card up. This card, angle of incidence, angle of reflection, is going to give this side of the face, forehead, hair, etc., some bright thing to reflect. So we're going to get some light on the side of this face now. We're going to have heavy light here. We're going to have softer light here from this card, and this card's going to take care of the side. That middle part where it tends to go dark, we're going to lighten it up with this card here. And you can pull this card all the way behind camera if you want, or wherever your camera is. It might not be behind your camera, but just don't have it in the frame. Obviously, we want to make sure it's not in the frame. So that's your next assignment. I'm so sorry, it says camera right. Left here, it should say camera right. Now we're going to add a fill to camera left, and that's this guy over here. We're going to bring, sorry, I keep forgetting that once I click on it, I've got to click on it again. We're going to bring that right over here, right next to the softbox. We're going to put it so it touches the softbox, and that's going to create, you see how this light's just going to open this up and splash more light this way because the face is going to have something to reflect. So we've just extended the size of our softbox. All right, so we've got our cards in position. We should have some pretty nice light going on this person. Let's do this. Let's add a black card to get the light off the background. We're going to add a flag to get the light off the background. Just about like this. We're going to just block it off so it's not getting on the background. What does that look like? Kind of throwing a shadow there. A little bit of light gets to that background for sure. And this is a very classic and very easy little lighting to create. You can use all of this or parts of this or maybe no fill cards at all if you like that look. The key here is that you have one main light and then you have ways to modify it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. 5 different things. You can also do one more thing which is kind of cool, and that is you can turn your background. You can turn your background in different shapes, in different angles from your camera. You can turn your background like this. And now this light is definitely getting on the background because we've angled the background to get as much light as possible. Now you're going to see a definite darkness behind the lit side of our subject and a lighter gray background behind the shadow side of our subject. Instant Rembrandt. Dark behind the lit side, light behind the dark side. You can also turn it this way and cast a shadow all along the back. So if you have a gray background and you want it to be dark, a black background, twist your subject at an angle and shoot it that way. Another way to do it. I hope that you see all these different possibilities as exactly that. They are wonderful possibilities, things for you to do with your photography, with your lighting that you can experiment with today. You can do this today. You can do these experiments. Just set it up, find somebody to sit for you, and try different kinds of wardrobe. Maybe try a shiny leather jacket. Maybe try a very soft cotton sweater. Maybe try a hat. Maybe try something like a white shirt, a white cotton shirt, or lighter color cotton shirt. It's up to you to do whatever you want to do to make this work. But I hope you enjoy this. Try these experiments and let me know how they work for you. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you next time.